Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. Great to be here with you today for part 2 of our Cabral House Calls, answering our community's questions each and every weekend. Yesterday, I got to about 6 questions today. I hope to do the same. If you didn't tune into yesterday's show, that was stephencabral.com/1646. That's where you can read over all the questions and listen in on those answers. We talked about the parasite-based protocol or the parasupport protocol. We talked about looking specifically at other factors for brain tumors. We talked about diverticulitis. We spoke about not actually being able to get a fever when sick. We talked about fungal-based overgrowth on the skin, and we also shared different tips on juicing vegetables that weren't organic and how to clean them as well. So hopefully you checked out that show. That was episode 1646. If you want to read along with today's questions, they'll be at stephencabral.com/1647. All right, without further ado, let's dive into today's show. First question coming in from Patrick. This came in on 7/16. So again, remember, we run about 6 weeks to maybe 8 weeks behind in answering your questions. They come in on a first come, first serve basis. They're all answered, of course, on the weekend shows. And what I would say is this: if you asked a question before July 16th, then your question was already answered on a previous show. If your question was answered or asked after July 16th, or it looks like we'll get to the 17th today, it's coming on a future show. Now, same day answers can be gotten at cabralsupportgroup.com. That is our free Facebook group, and that's our support group. Feel free to join that group. There's no fee for that. We're just here to help. And of course, we have an amazing community there where you're going to get plenty of answers and feedback from the global health community there. All right, Patrick's up first. And let's see what Patrick's saying. Hi, Dr. Ball. Love all the work that you're doing. I'm feeling the best in my life since finding your podcast about 3 years ago. I've listened to all your podcasts and some multiple times, so I hate to ask a question I know you've answered more than once, but nothing seems to work. I think it says done, but I think it means my son is 14 and has warts on his elbow for as long as I can remember. Whenever they burn or freeze them off, they come back and the doctors make it like it's normal and no big deal, but obviously something isn't right. He also has had really bad athlete's feet when he was younger, but that seems to have gone away. Thanks for everything. You're the best. Patrick, thank you. You're the best. You are the best for listening to every single podcast that I've done and some multiple times. Thank you so much, Patrick. If you are looking for that next step, that next level in your education, I can't recommend enough checking out, downloading a brochure, or speaking with someone even by phone at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. It is for the general public to become a health coach or even just to learn more about emptying that rain barrel and about true health and vitality. So let's get to your son, 14 years old, warts. Well, hopefully you've tuned in and checked out previous podcasts with some amazing anecdotal evidence that, of course, they're never going to study with research, but hey, there's minimal risk and high reward. One of the ways that people have been able to get rid of warts naturally, and I know it sounds crazy to me. I've never done it, haven't had to do it, luckily, but I did have warts actually on my fingers when I was younger. I'm going to tie back to what that was in just a moment. And I did have them frozen off as well. I had 2 frozen off. Here's the thing. Never had one since. We'll talk about that in just a moment. I was a teenager, had those done. Okay. So first things first, check out the banana peel method, all right? All I'm going to do is give you this. You can research this online, but I also talked about it on my podcast. But again, you listen to now 1,646 shows. If you can do that, I recommend it to anyone. All you have to do is listen to just 2 or 3 a day, and it will take you a while, but you'll get through all of them, and you will, I feel, have a broad integrative health-based knowledge base. And I think that's so important because we have to be our own health advocates, right? All of the shows are completely free. You never have to purchase anything. I just want you to have the knowledge, and I want you to share the knowledge. Okay, so here's the thing. There is an ask. I would love for you, of course, to review the show. There's no doubt about that. But what I would love you to do is simply share the information with anyone that you believe it could serve. That's it. That's all I ask. That's it. I'm going to keep doing the show completely free, 7 days a week. I just would love you to share the information with one other person. That's it. Okay, Patrick, check out the banana peel method. Using a banana peel, cutting it to about a half an inch by half an inch, placing it over the wart. Yes, you can use duct tape or anything like that you want over it. Sometimes people just use duct tape as well. That's neither here nor there. All right, so let's go back to some root causes. Root causes for warts, oftentimes viral-based, oftentimes deficiency in vitamin C, oftentimes deficiency in zinc. Zinc is the big one. Let's make sure, especially as a 14-year-old boy that needs to produce testosterone, that needs to get a nice, healthy, strong body. I don't know if they play sports or not. Girls, guys, they need testosterone. They need testosterone, yes, men and women. But testosterone is fueled by zinc. That's one of the major minerals, okay? Super important. You need zinc. You need vitamin C. Get those two things for sure. You can have them tested as well. I mean, if you want to run a hair tissue mineral analysis with your son, it's non-invasive, right? You just go to the minerals and metals test at equilibriumnutrition.com. A couple snips of hair from the back of his head will let you know. Patrick, if there's one thing I would do, this is what I would do. Simple urine test, simple hair test. Run the starter kit at equilibriumnutrition.com. I could not recommend that enough. It's an investment in your son's health, and you'll look at those fungal-based issues. You'll look at gut-based issues. Can't recommend that enough. But if not, maybe food-based or supplement-based. We get your son on the daily nutritional support, maybe a little bit of omega-3s. We get that immunity protocol in there, vitamin D. We get the zinc. We get the vitamin C. And then look into my viral-based podcast because a lot of these warts are viral-based. So look into that colloidal silver, look into some oregano oil. But let's run the labs first before you do those things. Let's see where your son's at baseline-wise, all right? This goes for anybody. The starter kit. If you can't run the big five, you run the starter kit. No doubt about it. All right. Joy's up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. My concern is a constant runny nose, especially when outside. I have this year round no matter what, but it's worse with exercise and in the cold weather. It's annoying and embarrassing to constantly have to carry around tissue with me to avoid the foods that I'm highly sensitive to based on the results from my food sensitivity test. And I've done the CBO protocol based on the test results from the stool test. I've taken the daily thyroid. I have surgery for a deviated septum last year, and the doctor suggested a cryotherapy procedure, hoping that would fix the problem. The runny nose was better for a couple of months, then back to the way it's been for as long as I can remember. Very disappointed to say the least. Any suggestion as to what my next step might be, or just to learn to live with it? Love listening to your podcast. I'm always learning. Thank you for all you do. Joy. All right, Joy. A lot going on in that question, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I always have to give you my preface first, and the preface is this. On the Cabral concept, we do not diagnose disease, we don't provide treatment protocols for disease, and we do not cure disease. Instead, we help people get well by looking at the underlying root causes that are keeping them from their healthiest self. And what we do is we essentially remove those toxicities and we replace the deficiencies and we allow the body in all of its innate wisdom to heal. So although I am not giving you a diagnosis right now, I would love for you to look up the potential that you may be suffering from eosinophilic rhinitis, okay? I'm not giving you a disease diagnosis because that's only for medical doctors. But a certain someone, being me, used to deal with eosinophilic rhinitis until I was about 28 years old, 29 years old. What changed? Well, fixed my gut, but also realized, wow, I am prone to mastocytosis. I'm prone to an overproduction of mast cells. What happened was my immune system simply wasn't as balanced as it should be. I had to really seal up that gut wall. So I don't know if you ran the labs through us. Great if you did. I hope that you did the CBO protocol. I hope that you've retested to make sure your gut is clear. And I hope that you did the CBO finisher. And then after that, there's a great product. Again, this is not a treatment protocol, but we need to look into using the alkalizing vitamin C, really nice product, and also a product called Hist Pro. Hist Pro is a great one as well. Need to make sure your magnesium stores are where they should be, your vitamin D stores are where they should be. You need to also make sure that your zinc is where it should be. All of these things help to keep the immune system balanced to a greater degree. So the immunity protocol is a great place to start, along with the daily nutritional support, removing those food sensitivities, at least in the beginning, being on a lower histamine diet. You can simply check out my previous podcast on a lower histamine diet. And You may also want to do a neti pot, a nasal rinse with just 2 drops or so of the citricidal drops, a little bit of saline solution to see if there's any fungal overgrowth just in the nasal passages. Because remember, whenever there's surgery, whenever the mucosa changes in the nose, there could be the potential for fungal overgrowth in the nasal passages as well. No one ever talks about it, but it's a cause. So hopefully that helps. It's a place to get started, Joy, so hopefully that is helpful. Lyle is back. Lyle's back every week. We love Lyle's questions. LAL says, "Hi, Dr. Ball. I have a question regarding chlorella versus spirulina. Medical medium says chlorella is messy because it takes heavy metals. I've actually answered this before. So what I want to do is I can point you back to chlorella versus spirulina. Please, again, love Anthony William, love the medical medium. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to twist my words. I think he's great. Chlorella, though, is also great. Chlorella has been scientifically studied to work. All of the formulas that I create for Equilibrium Nutrition.com are based on science. So when I put together a heavy metal detox that uses Crexel chlorella, cilantro, vitamin C, and a biofilm disruptor, you better believe it's based on science. You better believe that we test people before and after, and we know that it works. So I don't really want to get into the debate of chlorella versus spirulina. Here's the thing. They're both great. They're both fantastic. But if you really want to go deep on the science, use the chlorella. Now, throw in some spirulina. I have no problem with that. Blue-green algae, fantastic. Use them both if you want. Okay, Katie's up next. Hi, Dr. Ball. First off, I want to say that I've healed so much from working with your health coaches, Julia especially. Julie's fantastic, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. And doing your protocols. I've healed my gut and worked on my hormones, but I just can't seem to kick my allergies. During quarantine, I got a puppy and appear to be allergic to his saliva. I get itchy and sometimes hives after touching and playing with him, especially if he licks me. I do feel like with all the work I've been doing, my allergies in general have gotten better, but I don't know why they're not relieved much more given all the work that I've done. I still have to use an antihistamine and Singular daily. Main question is, do you see dog allergies as something a person can heal from? I took the Big 5 in June, and I'm now on a hormone protocol to get my cortisol levels and thyroid back to normal. Aside from that, where do I go from here to ease my allergies? All right, Katie, great question. So here's the thing. Allergies are the best example of the rain barrel. The way that I learned about the rain barrel was from my own allergies myself at 18 years old. So that's when I learned about it. I had allergies all through childhood. Itchy eyes, runny nose. Our friend Joy was just talking about them, right? Well, here's the thing. All winter I had them as well. I would go from a cold environment outside to into the cafeteria in college, and my eyes would just start watering. Like mast cells were going crazy. I'd rub my eyes, then they turn bright red, and then I have tears coming down my face. People probably looking at me in line like, what's wrong with this kid? And I didn't know what was wrong with me either. So I just said, listen, my eyes just water. What do you want me to do? But I was eventually able to figure out, now my eyes don't water anymore. So here's the thing. Allergies are the perfect example of the rain barrel effect. You're doing well in everyday life, right? Because you're on a clean diet. You're probably getting in your exercise. If not, you need to start exercising, not overdoing it, but that helps to balance the immune system as well. And then what happens is, though, you get a puppy and you're allergic to the puppy, and now you're around him every day, and that is what? Overflowing your rain barrel. So now you're dealing with allergies all the time because you're always overflowing your rain barrel. So while you have the puppy, while you're working on your immune system, eventually people actually do seem to get used to their own pets because, well, it's like doing allergy shots, right? Or allergy sublingual drops, which is probably a little cleaner, healthier way of doing it. You do what? Well, you actually are around this thing all the time, and your body says, okay, well, we're going to stop reacting to it as much. Now, it would have been better if you were exposed to it little by little by little, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and that gets the body a little bit desensitized. So that is a good way to help with allergies. Now, better way, make sure the intestines are no longer permeable, that you've done your detoxes, that you're getting enough vitamin C, you're getting enough zinc, you're getting enough vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, you're getting all your B vitamins to help with normal methylation. While you're in it, use the Hist Pro as well. 2 to 3 capsules, 3 times a day, anywhere between 2 and 5 grams of vitamin C a day, 25 to 50 milligrams total of zinc a day. I can't give you exact protocols. This is not personalized. I can't tell you what to do, simply based on others and what I might do myself as well. So, yeah, and then vitamin D is typically 4,000 or so IU per day for adults. Hopefully that's helpful. And of course, happy to do follow-ups as well. All right, Lal's back. Hi, Dr. Brawl. I'm interested in coconut water. Do you recommend drinking it? Why? Does it have a lot of benefits? We have different ones in the stores, and they all say they're only coconut water from coconuts, no sugar added, not from concentrate, but they taste so different. Do you know why? All of them are pasteurized. What does that mean? Is it bad? Does it take away the nutrients? Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. All right, Lal, I do want to make sure, just because I'm a huge fan of yours. You're writing in. You've got great questions. Really important, though, because, Lal, I don't want you waiting around for your questions to be answered. These questions have been answered before at stephencabral.com/podcast. Let's just type in coconut water. Let's just check it out. So we go to stephencabral.com/podcast. That little annoying drop down comes down, and we just swipe it right out of the way after you've already entered your email, of course, and then we type in coconut water. All right. Let's see the podcast that it's been talked about on. Well, it's been talked about on quite a few, so let's see if we can narrow it down. And I'm going to put quotation marks around it. And there we are. Once we put those quotation marks to limit it, we find that it's on episode 387. So 387, we talk about coconut water. We also talk about it, coconut water versus maple water on episode 672. See if I can find it again. Any more here? And that is it. Yeah, so check out those 2 episodes. The short of it, I'll just give you the short answer. Coconut water, when heated, destroys the enzymes in it. That's going to happen. It has to be pasteurized essentially in your store. If it's not, it's going to ferment. It's going to taste nasty. I mean, that's the truth. Fresh coconut water, fantastic. I mean, they're really delicious. Used to drink it. That was one of my sole sources of liquid when I was in India. If I was traveling and there wasn't bottled water, we would stop at the side of the road. So many different little just wood huts, and they'd have fresh coconuts. They'd use a machete. They'd lop off the top. There's a little hook at the end. They'd core it out, and you would just, no straws or anything, and you would just drink straight from the coconut. Absolutely delicious, filled with electrolytes. Now, keep in mind, though, the main electrolyte in coconut water is potassium. So if you are someone, and again, this is why you have to understand that there's a lot of levels and a lot of layers to this onion. Because if you are someone that is depleted, you are what we call in a state of adrenal fatigue. Even though you need your potassium, if you don't balance that with sodium, you are going to feel exhausted after drinking that coconut water. Totally wiped out. Why? Because you typically have depleted levels at a functional level of sodium. How do you fix that? Well, you add a little sea salt to your coconut water, and now you have balanced electrolytes, right? So that's why we do sea salt with lemon or lime, because then you have your balance of sodium, potassium. That was a lot. I know you didn't ask that. Hopefully that's helpful. But remember, every food can be used as medicine. So there we are. All right, Cleo's up next. Hi, Dr. Brawl. If I test positive for COVID-19 antibodies, what is the risk for me contracting the virus again, and would it be contagious? I'm asking because I've tested positive for the antibodies and would like to visit my dad, but he's considered extremely vulnerable. I don't live in the same county as him and would have to travel internationally, so I'm afraid of contracting the virus on the trip and then passing it to him. Thank you so much. All right, Cleo, this is way out of my scope of what I'm allowed to speak about on a podcast. Way out of the scope. So again, FDA regulations do not allow for the talking of this, but I'm just going to talk in generalities. If you get a virus and you have the antibodies, if you were to get that virus again, your immune system already has the antibodies, and it typically does not live in your body. At most, you would get a mild to no case at all. Typically, once you get the antibodies, you're good to go. There's not a risk of you essentially catching it again or passing it on to other people. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with this particular virus. Here's why. We don't really know, right? That's the truth. But if it were to follow suit with other viruses, that would be the case. But again, I'm not giving you medical advice on this particular virus. I don't want to be just construed as medical-based advice. If it was me, and I'm only talking about me, nobody else, not talking about Cleo, just talking about me. If I had the antibodies for a particular virus, I would feel comfortable not catching it again and passing it on to anyone else. But that's just me. I'm not talking about anybody else, and I'm certainly not giving out medical-based advice. So, Cleo, hopefully that was helpful, and thank you for writing in. Jenna is up next. I'm currently 2 weeks into the CBO protocol. By the time you read this, I'll probably be on week 6 or 8. I did the oat test through Equilibrium Nutrition, but I did a stool test through another company. There were no parasites detected, but after hearing you explain that a 3-day stool test is best for parasites, I realized the 1-day test may not have been sufficient, and I'm feeling a bit paranoid that I didn't know for sure if I have parasite. My question is that if I want to test for parasites using the 3-day test that Equilibrium Nutrition offers, can I do this test in the middle of the CBO, or will it skew the results? Is it better to wait until the CBO is completed to test? I want to be as accurate as possible. Yeah, Jenna, that's a really great question. So here's the thing. Anybody out there on the fence about testing for parasites, can't recommend it enough. We're looking at about a world population of about 25% of people with a parasite. That legitimate. Most people not knowing they have it. You don't always have the insomnia at night or the itchiness of a parasite or the night sweats of a parasite or the diarrhea that a parasite can cause, right? Or the abdominal-based bloating, especially at night. Those are all signs, but you don't necessarily know if you have it. Here's the thing. You run a 3-day stool test. The one that equilibriumnutrition.com does is second to none. Remember, we don't own any of these labs. Like, you're running an equilibriumnutrition.com lab, and the reason is that we sub it out. We have CLIA certified labs doing this. Tremendous labs. Equilibriumnutrition.com is not a lab. What you get, though, is a protocol, and you get a team of people overseeing yours and giving you that protocol. That's different than any other organization out there because we simply don't believe that your numbers are what matter. We believe the person is what matters. We need to listen to that person. We need to be able to develop the right protocol for them. Okay, so what would I do? Because you asked a really good question. Here's what I would do. I would wait until 2 to 3 weeks after you complete your CBO protocol and have already begun the CBO finisher, because you do that after the CBO protocol to seal up the gut. So after you do that, 2 to 3 weeks after you've completed your CBO, you're done with all of your antimicrobials. You've already done your biofilm disruptors, which is great because now you have more of a chance of actually finding the parasites if there is one. Then you run that 3-day bacteria and parasite stool test. So for sure, that's when I would do it, not during, because it could skew the results because a lot of those antimicrobials are also anti-parasitic. So again, we're not treating parasites, right? We can't say that. We're not doing that. What we're doing is working on underlying root causes and rebalancing that gut. So, Jenna, there's your answer. Hopefully that was helpful. These shows fly by. They really do. I could answer your questions all day, but I do my best to keep the show right around 22 minutes, 25 minutes maximum, so that hopefully you can tune in every day. I mean, the goal is accumulated knowledge. No one show is ever going to make you kind of the expert in one particular area, but I really believe that if you were to go back, listen to all of the podcasts, you would know more than 99.99% of the population. I honestly believe that. I truly do. Remember, this information is not my information. I am a vessel to speak about natural health. I have studied all over the world. I've studied with brilliant mentors and masters all over the world so that I could take all of their knowledge, I could put it together into something I call the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. And then what I do is I try to teach that in a concise way that we can all use. I truly believe that every household should have a health coach in it. That's why we have IHPs. And I just believe that this is the future of health. The future of health is empowering people. The future of health is being able to take control of your own body, your own mind, your own health. So hopefully this has been helpful. Do feel free to please share this show with anyone you believe could serve. Have an amazing rest of the weekend. If you're listening to this early Sunday morning, be sure to check out our Motivation and Mindset Monday show tomorrow to start the week off strong. All right, take care. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to StephenCabral.com/rainbarrel.